Alright, well, welcome back to the woodlands of Pennsylvania. And I'm still here in the Lehigh Gap Nature Center. In my previous video, we just hiked the LNE Trail, the Lehigh and New England Trail. It's referring to the old railroad bed. And I just got done hiking that trail. That was my previous video, but now we're gonna hike some different trails on the way back. Some of these trails I hiked a number of years ago when I was here. The one I'm currently on is called the Chestnut Oak Trail. And it starts at the end of that L and E trail. So I got some dog barking at me back there. Anyway, so hopefully we find some naturey stuff on this trail. And we'll talk a little bit about the history of this area. I've referred to it in other videos, so some of that will be repetitive, but we'll talk about it anyway. All right. Got a couple miles to go to get back to the Jeep, so let's get going. So like I said, this is the Chestnut Oak Trail, and just down below us was that old railroad bed, the LNE Trail. I am hoping to find some wildlife up here, particularly some snakes. Cool to find a rattlesnake. I like snakes. Maybe even a hognose snake. They're kind of cool. We'll talk about those in a little bit. I did see one here years ago. Alright, well, we made it to the top of this incline. Coming from down there. And you can see we've gained some elevation. But there's another trail, but we're going to continue on this Chestnut Oak Trail. I need to find a place to eat lunch too. It's 2 o'clock, getting hungry. Still looking for some snakes. It's about 60 degrees. This is April 20th. So I have seen some out in previous videos, just little garter snakes. So no, they're out. And in a little bit, we will be out of this wooded section and we'll be on another trail called the Prairie Grass Trail. It'll be kind of like this open grassy area. And that's due to the pollution that occurred in this area. I've talked about that in other videos, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about it here, but you can look that up. You just look up the Lehigh Gap Nature Center, they'll tell you about it. But that grassy area is where all the trees died, and they've planted grasses in order to try and renew the place, so it has a much different look than where we are currently. And down there, I don't know if you can see it, down there is the old railroad bed that I was hiking earlier today, the Lehigh and New England Trail. And you can already see the terrain starting to change, the vegetation. The woods aren't so thick anymore. There's a lot more grass-like vegetation out here too now. Yeah, out here it really changes. So we're transitioning into that other type of ecosystem out here. It'll be more like an open prairie out here at times. Well, not a flat prairie, but like a prairie on the side of a mountain. And with this openness, we start getting some views out here. That's the Lehigh River down there. The town of Palmerton is over that way. I do see a flowering tree up here. We'll check this out in a moment. Still looking for snakes. I'm determined to find one today, but we'll see. Yeah, so here's our flowering tree. I thought it might be a dogwood from a distance, but it's not. Might be some kind of a hawthorn bush. There's like so many different kinds of hawthorns that grow out here. Not the prettiest views, but there's some views. I just stopped and had a nice little lunch. Ate my peanut butter sandwich. Not my typical peanut butter sandwich. I'm still having trouble finding my marbled rye bread that I usually use. But it was still a good sandwich. Like I said, I am hoping to find some snakes out here. I mentioned those hognose snakes. Let me talk to you just a little bit about those. Up here's the, this is the end of the Chestnut Oak Trail, and we're starting on that prairie grass trail now. Let me turn you around. We've kind of entered into that more prairie-like area back here. But those hognose snakes, they're pretty cool. Of course, their first line of defense is just to scurry away from you if they can. But if that doesn't work, they will flatten their head and hiss at you, and it makes them look dangerous. Because the poisonous snakes here in Pennsylvania have like flattened triangular heads. So when the hog-nosed snake flattens its head like that, it makes it look kind of poisonous. And of course, it's hissing at you too, so people think it's dangerous, but it's not. It's all a farce. Because if you do get closer, it would try to pick it up. They just play dead. So they're harmless, but they're kind of interesting. I have seen them around here before. I got a bee flying around me. Bumblebee. That's okay. It's nice to see them again. Alright. It is warming up. Of course, we are on the north side of the mountain too, so maybe I think things are a little bit later on this side, you know, spring-wise. Alright, I'll quit babbling. We'll keep on hiking. Like I said, we're on the prairie grass trail now. Of course, having just talked about the hognose snake, I don't know if we'll actually find one, but I do have a clip, a video segment of one doing that, you know, flattening its head and hissing at me. So I think I'm going to include that pic here in a moment, because I don't know if we'll find one today. But that way you can see what it looks like and what it sounds like. So I'll go ahead and insert that clip here for you to see. Yeah, look at him, look at him. That's a defense mechanism. Hissing and inflating his head like that. I don't know if you can hear him hissing either. Yeah, you hear that? He's trying to scare me away. He's harmless though. Off he goes. So that is what they sound like and look like when they do that. The hog-nosed snake. I would point out too, like a little while ago I hiked what was called the North Trail, and that is right up there along that ridge line. That was a cool trail. And the Appalachian Trail is just on the other side of that ridge too. I did that just recently. So we're kind of in that same area, just down further below. Well, no snakes, but we finally come across some wildflowers here. Those are just about to bloom, but there are some up here that are blooming. And I found these down below in my other video. See if you can find some that are, well, let's go up here actually. Maybe I'll find a snake off trail here. Yeah, here we go. They're just, yeah, they're blooming, I guess, nicely. Yeah, these are wild bleeding hearts. Like I said, there are some cultivated varieties that people grow in their gardens, but these are quite nice. The flowers look like almost like little hearts in a way. And since they're red, it's like they're bleeding, so bleeding hearts. Quite a few of them up here. All these little green plants are bleeding hearts. First wild flowers I've seen up here besides dandelions. So I've pretty much given up on finding some snakes today. It is in the upper 50s, but the sun comes and goes. But if the sun was out in full force, it might be enough to draw them out of their burrows and have them sunning on the rocks. But it's just, and there's a cool breeze blowing, so I think it's just not quite nice enough for them. And like I said, we are on the north side of the mountain too, which means it's not quite as warm on this side. But you never know, and who knows, maybe we'll find something else. We shall keep our eyes open though. Alright, so this right here looks like a snaky spot. Lots of rocks. So I'm gonna poke around safely, see if we can find anything tucked away in here. So no snakes. One can hope though, and look, but not this time. And here's the junction with the charcoal trail. When I was here a couple years ago, I went up that way. That'll hook you up with the north trail way up top there. So I'm not doing that today. But the Prairie Grass Trail continues down this way, and it'll eventually hook up with the old rail bed that's down here, the LNE Trail, Lehigh and New England Trail. And we get a pretty epic view as we head down to the other trail. Over there's Palmerton. Over there's that red hill. I mentioned that in another video. It's kind of the landmark in this area. The house that sits on top of it. Because they're doing a lot of work down there. That's a super fun to site. You know, I talked a little bit about the pollution that went on here. That's where one of the zinc processing plants was down there. They're trying to clean things up. Alright, well I think I'm going to end this video here. I'm not quite at the bottom of this trail yet, but I think we've seen what we're going to see up here. And I might skedaddle off trail here a little bit. There's something else here I wanted to see, called the Devil's Pulpit. I think in my last video I said I wasn't going to attempt it, but I'm just wondering if it might be easier to get to it from up here, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. I know we didn't find a whole lot in this video, but it's still a nice little hike out here on a nice spring day here in April. So thanks for coming along, and I'll see you in the next video.